What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and today we are talking about Kozilek, Butcher of Truth in the E.D.H deck tech format. So sit back and enjoy. Let's dig into this deck tech. Our first artifact up is AETHER VIAL. Next on the list we have AKROMA'S Memorial, coming in at 7 colorless for a legendary artifact. Next on our list of artifacts is Basalt Monolith, coming in at 3 colorless. Next artifact up is Belby's Portal, coming in at 5 colorless for an artifact that enables you to bring target creatures from your hand directly into play. Our next artifact on the list is Blink Moth Urn, coming in at 5 colorless. Our next artifact up is Cauldron of Souls, again coming in at 5 colorless. Our next artifact up is Crystal Ball, coming in at 3 colorless. Our next artifact up is Darksteel Plate, coming in at 3 colorless. Our next artifact on this list is Doubling Cube, coming in at 2 colorless. Our next artifact up is Eternity Vessel, coming in at 6 colorless. Our next artifact up on the list is Everflowing Chalice. That's right, it is coming in with a 0 casting cost. Our next card up on this list is Gilded Lotus, coming in with a 5 colorless casting cost. Our next artifact up is Grim Monolith, coming in at 2 colorless. Next up we have Hedron Matrix, coming in at 4 colorless. Our next artifact up is Helm of Awakening, coming in at a whopping 2 colorless. Our next artifact up is Lightning Greaves, coming in at a 2 colorless casting cost. Next up we have Mana Vault, our next artifact in line, coming in at a 1 colorless casting cost. Our next artifact up is Mimic Vat, coming in at a 3 colorless casting cost. Our next artifact up is QUIETUS Spike, coming in at a 3 colorless casting cost. Our next artifact up is SEMBLANCE ANVIL, coming in at a 3 colorless casting cost. Our next artifact up is SENSI'S Divining Top, coming in at 1 colorless casting cost. Our next artifact up is SISAY'S Ring, coming in at 4 colorless casting cost. Our next artifact up is the iconic Soul Ring, coming in at 1 colorless casting cost. Our next artifact up is Spine of Isha, coming in at 7 colorless casting cost. Our next artifact up is Staff of Nin, coming in at 6 colorless casting cost. Your next artifact up is Thought Vessel, coming in at 2 colorless casting cost. Our next artifact up is THRAN DYNAMO, another iconic artifact, coming in at 4 colorless casting cost. And where would we be without Graveyard Hate? Our next artifact upon this list is TORMOD'S Crypt, coming in at. Our next artifact on this list is Unwinding Clock, coming in at 4 colorless mana. Our next artifact up is UR-GOLEM'S Eye, coming in at 4 colorless mana. Our next artifact of the deck is URZA'S Incubator, coming in at 3 colorless mana. Our next artifact on the list is VOLTAIC Key, coming in at 1 colorless mana. Our next artifact on this list is Ward of Bones, coming in at 6 colorless mana. Our next artifact up on this list is Whisper Silk Cloak, coming in at 3 colorless mana. And alas, we have come to the end of the journey for the artifacts. Our final artifact in the deck is Worn Powerstone, coming in at 3 colorless mana. So lands in the deck are pretty universal. Everything you're going to see here is going to create colorless mana. So from Ancient Tomb to Arena to Blasted Landscape and beyond, we're running cards such as Buried Ruin, adding 1 to your mana pool, of course being colorless. Command Beacon, adding 1 to your mana pool, allowing you to sack Command Beacon, put your commander into your hand from the command zone. Command Tower, adding 1 mana of any color, that is your commander's identity. Crystal Vein, again, colorless mana, sacking it to add 2. Darksteel Citadel, which is indestructible, adding 1 colorless. We have Deserted Temple, tapping it for 1 colorless, or tap it to untap target land. We have Dust Bowl, adding more colorless, or being able to destroy a target land. Eldrazi Temple, basically designed for an Eldrazi deck, adding colorless. I have Ugin, colorless spells cost 2 less to cast, plus it's adding colorless. Ghost Town, another great colorless. We're running Hall of the Bandit Lord, again adding colorless mana. High Market, all about colorless mana. You can sacrifice creatures as an outlet, gaining 1 life for each creature sacrificed. Homeward Path, again, colorless mana. Maze of Ith, preventing damage that is being dealt to you. Great utility there. Moroku, Center of the Sea, again, colorless mana and card advantage. Mirren, the Moaning Well, allowing you to gain life plus add colorless mana. Petrified Field for additional colorless mana. We've got Reliquary Tower, so you have no maximum hand size and colorless mana. Rogue's Passage, colorless mana and making creatures unblockable. Great utility in the deck. Sanctum of Ugin for additional colorless mana. Scorched Ruins as well. It's great, adding 4 colorless. Seagate Wreckage, perfect for this deck. Shrine of the Forsaken Gods for additional colorless. Strip Mine, enabling you to knock out target lands of your opponents, plus add colorless mana. Tectonic Ridge for additional colorless, and also being able to do a little bit more land destruction. Thespian Stage can become a copy of any target land on the board, plus it's already adding colorless. Tomb of the Spirit Dragon for more life gain, plus additional colorless mana. Winding Cannons for additional colorless. And then we round it up with 5 Wastelands in the deck. As you can see, it's built and designed to ensure and accommodate that the mana base in this deck is adjusted and that you are going to be able to play your cards quickly and efficiently. There's great synergy in this deck, but let's get to the best part, the Eldrazi. Like all Eldrazi, they simply want to feed. They want to feed and hurt your opponent. And the Eldrazi featured out before you in this deck tech are absolutely no different. You will see a wide variety of Eldrazi, from 4/4s and 3/2s to 2/2s to 11/8s and 12/12s. Every Eldrazi in this deck tech has been handpicked to be the most ruthless and competitively cutting Eldrazi you can find. If you can start to pump these on the board, there's absolutely no way your opponents are going to stop you. From Eldrazi like Endless One with an X casting cost who just gets ridiculous with mana ramps, to Hand of Emrakul is a 7/7 with Annihilator 1. We've got cards such as It That Betrays, it's an 11/11 Eldrazi with Annihilator 2. You have cards like Kozilek the Great Distortion, who is a 12/12 with Menace. On top of that, we run cards like Kozilek's Channeler, who is a 4/4 Eldrazi, and he's a mana ramp. We have cards like Matter Reshaper, Oblivion Sour, Pathfinder of Ulamog. I know I butchered that, but he's a 9/9 with an Annihilator of 3. Shimmering Mire, allowing you to cast your artifacts as though they had flash. We run things such as Thought Not Seer. Eldrazi to follow suit like Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger, a 10/10 indestructible. Oh, it gets better. We also run Ulamog the Infinite Gyre, who is a 10/10 indestructible with Annihilator 4. And comboing it off with cards like Void Winnower. And absolutely no E.D.H deck tech is complete without Planeswalkers. I present to you the following. Our first Planeswalker up is Karn Liberated. Following course with, of course, Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Just ruthless. And as for sorceries, we are running the following. Sorceries are kept to a minimal with cards like All Is Dust, as well as Skittering Invasion, and of course following suit with Gruesome Slaughter. As for instants in the deck, they're very, very minimal with 2. Here they are. Titan's Presence is a wonderful little surprise. However, Score from Existence just makes sure that nothing you don't want to be on the board stays on the board for long. This deck tag does consist of enchantments, and there is only one. Here we go. Eldrazi Conscription leaves a nice little surprise for your opponents. Coming in, giving a creature +10/+10, trample, and Annihilator 2. What could possibly go wrong? Thank you guys for watching our E.D.H deck tag for Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. If you have suggestions, comments, and things you would change or alter, go ahead and also leave those down below. We'd love to hear what you have to say about the video. As always, thank you for being a part of the mtg-portal. Thank you for being a part of our amazing, awesome gaming community. If you have not checked out our Facebook blogs, click that link down below as well. Come join us on Facebook. We post all kinds of random shenanigans, updates to videos, and everything else you could possibly want and need. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Take care, mtg-portal.